The night shift at Luna Station was usually quiet. Officer Lee Mina sat at her desk, monitoring deep space signals like she had done for 3 years. Nothing ever happened during her watch. She sipped her coffee and watched the green lines dance. Across her screen, then everything changed. At exactly 3:47 in the morning, her equipment picked up something strange. A weak signal was coming from far away in space. Mina adjusted her controls, trying to make the message clearer. Static filled her headphones, but underneath the noise, she heard something that made her blood run cold. A human voice. Sector 7. They've taken the children. ... Breeding programs. Please, Earth ... Anyone listening? Mina's hands shook as she worked frantically to clean up the recording. The voice belonged to a woman, desperate and terrified. Through the crackling static, Mina could hear tears in the woman's voice. Something terrible had happened to her. The message had traveled through space for 4 long years before reaching Luna Station. 4 years ago, Dr. Park Jisoo and her research team had left Earth to study planets around Proxima Centauri. They were supposed to come back after 2 years. They never did. Lieutenant Commander Kim Do-yen arrived at the station within an hour. He listened to the recording 5 times, his face growing darker with each replay. This wasn't just a distress call. This was proof that humanity's first contact with aliens had gone horribly wrong. Send this to Earth Command immediately, Kim ordered. Priority 1. Within 6 hours, the recording had reached every government leader on Earth. Emergency meetings started in Washington, Beijing, London, and Moscow. World leaders who usually argued about everything suddenly had one thing in common. They were all terrified. Admiral Song Min-jae walked into the United Earth Defense Council chamber carrying the weight of humanity's worst nightmare. The recording played through the room's speakers, Dr. Park's broken voice echoing off the walls. 37 scientists had gone to space to study planets. They had found something else instead. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Song began, voice steady despite the horror of what she was about to say. 4 years ago, Dr. Park Jisoo led a peaceful research mission to the Proxima Centauri system. Her team included some of our best scientists, along with their families. Children went on that mission. Admiral paused, letting the weight of those words sink in. This recording tells us that aliens exist. It also tells us that they took our people. They took our children. The council chamber fell completely silent. Some delegates stared at the floor. Others covered their faces with their hands. Everyone understood what this meant. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, but their first neighbors were monsters. The signal traveled for years to reach us, the Admiral continued. Whatever happened to Dr. Park's team occurred long ago. They could be dead by now, but they could also still be alive, waiting for rescue. Admiral Song looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. She saw fear, anger, and something else, determination. The question before us is simple, she said. Do we abandon our people, or do we go get them? The recording played again, Dr. Park's desperate plea filling the chamber. Her words painted a picture that no human could ignore. Somewhere in the darkness of space, their people were suffering. Children were being held by aliens with evil intentions. The implications were staggering. If aliens could travel to Earth's research stations and capture humans, nowhere was safe. If they were running breeding programs, they saw humans as animals, not people. This wasn't just about rescuing Dr. Park's team anymore. This was about humanity's survival. As the council prepared to debate humanity's response, one thing was clear. The universe had just become a much more dangerous place. The arguing started immediately after Admiral Song finished speaking. For 18 straight hours, Earth's leaders fought over what to do. The council chamber became a battlefield of words, voices rising and tempers flaring as humanity faced its biggest decision ever. President Chen Wubin stood up, his face red. With frustration, "This is complete madness," he shouted, pointing at the star charts on the wall. "You want us to send our entire military across the galaxy, chasing a 4-year-old recording? Those people are probably dead already. We'd be throwing away thousands of lives for nothing." Other leaders nodded in agreement. The distance to Proxima Centauri was unimaginable, would take years just to get there, and that was assuming they could even find the right place. The aliens who took Dr. Park's team could have moved them anywhere by now. Think about the cost, argued Finance Minister Kim Yoon-ji. This operation would bankrupt half our nations. We'd have to build an entire fleet from scratch. The resources alone would feed millions of hungry people here on Earth. But Admiral Song wasn't backing down. She slammed her fist so hard on the podium that the microphone jumped. "Since when does humanity abandon its own people?" she demanded, her voice echoing through the chamber. Dr. Park's team wasn't just scientists. They brought their families. There were children on that mission, kids who went to space with their parents for the adventure of a lifetime. The Admiral's words hit like a physical blow. Everyone in the room had children or grandchildren. The thought of young ones trapped by alien monsters was unbearable. "Those children have been prisoners for 4 years, Song continued, her voice breaking slightly. 4 years of whatever these creatures do to humans. Every day we debate is another day they suffer." Director Yoon Ji-hoon of the Colonial Defense Force slowly stood up. He was an old man who had fought in 3 wars, and his voice carried the weight of experience. "I've been in the military for 40 years, he said quietly. "Earth's first law has always been simple. We leave no one behind. It doesn't matter if it's 1 soldier trapped behind enemy lines or 37 scientists captured by aliens.
Distance
Doesn't change that rule." The debate grew more heated as the hours passed. Some delegates walked out in frustration. Others fell asleep at their desks. Coffee and energy drinks flowed like rivers as Earth's leaders wrestled with an impossible choice. "What if we're starting a war?" asked Ambassador Lee Hyman from the European Union. "These aliens might have massive fleets. We could be dooming our entire planet." "What if we're not?" countered General Park Dong-hae. "What if we show them that humanity doesn't abandon its people? Maybe that's the message we need to send to the universe." As dawn broke over the council building, the final vote was called. The chamber fell silent as the electronic voting began. Green lights for yes, red lights for no. The numbers climbed slowly on the giant screen. 127 in favor, 124 against. By 3 votes, humanity chose to fight back. Operation Thunderstrike was born in that moment. Earth would send its largest military fleet into the unknown, following a trail for years cold. It was the most expensive and dangerous mission in human history, proved by the smallest possible margin. Within hours, shipyards across the solar system received emergency orders. 12 of Earth's most advanced warships would be built or modified, for the longest journey humanity had ever attempted. 40,000 of Earth's best soldiers, pilots, and scientists would volunteer for a mission that might be suicide. But they would go, because that's what humans do. They never leave anyone behind. Captain Han Seojin pressed his hand against the cold metal wall of the observation deck, watching billions of stars blur past in streams of light. 3 years had passed since Earth's massive fleet left home, and the journey felt endless. The 12 warships moved through space like a pack of wolves, hunting across an impossible distance. Every day was the same routine aboard the UES Retribution. Wake up, train, eat, sleep, repeat. Han's Marines had practiced combat scenarios so many times they could fight aliens in their sleep. They trained for zero-gravity battles, planet invasions, and rescue missions. But nobody really knew what they would find when they finally arrived. The worst part was the waiting. 3 years of wondering if Dr. Park's team was still alive. 3 years of hoping they weren't too late. Often stood at this same window, staring into the void and thinking about the children who might still be prisoners somewhere in the darkness. "Sir," called Sergeant Major Lim Geong, her boots echoing in the corridor as she approached. She carried a data pad with something that made her eyes bright with excitement. The analysis team found something incredible in Dr. Park's transmission. There were coordinates hidden in the background static. Han took the pad and studied the numbers. His heart sank as he realized what they meant. "These coordinates aren't for Proxima Centauri." "No, sir. They lead to a system 17 light-years beyond Proxima. Dr. Park somehow managed to send us the real location where they were being held. Within hours, all 12 ships changed course. The navigation computers calculated a new route that would add another full year to their journey. It's 4 years total, traveling farther from Earth than any human had ever gone. Some crew members broke down crying when they heard the news. Others just stared at the walls in silence. In the ship's main briefing room, Dr. Choi Min-soo stood before a crowd of officers and Marines. The xenobiologist had spent 3 years studying every piece of data they had about their enemy. His conclusions were terrifying. Based on the transmission fragments and what we know about Dr. Park's capture, we're dealing with a spacefaring civilization that practices systematic capture of other species, he explained, pointing to charts on the wall. They don't see intelligent life as equal to themselves. They view other species as resources to be harvested and used. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. These weren't aliens interested in peaceful contact or scientific exchange. These were predators who traveled between stars looking for prey. They probably have advanced technology, Dr. Choi continued. They can travel faster than light, which means they've been doing this for a long time. We might not be there first. Victims. Colonel Bae-Haeonu, commander of the 3rd Marine Division, studied the star charts with a grim expression. He was a veteran of Earth's last major war, and his scarred hands told stories of battles fought in distant places. Doctor, how long do you think they keep their prisoners alive? That's the question that keeps me awake at night, Dr. Choi admitted. For years is a long time. We need to prepare for the possibility that we're mounting a recovery mission instead of a rescue. The colonel nodded slowly. My Marines are ready for either scenario. We'll bring our people home, dead or alive. Throughout the fleet, similar conversations happened in mess halls and training rooms. 40,000 humans traveling through the void, all united by one purpose. They were following a trail for years cold, chasing ghosts across distances that made Earth seem like a tiny speck of dust. But Admiral Song's words from their departure ceremony echoed through every ship. We answer the call, always. The journey continued, day after day, month after month. Earth grew smaller in their memories, while the unknown grew larger ahead of them. Whatever they found at those coordinates would change humanity forever. They just hoped they wouldn't be. Too late to make a difference. The moment Earth's fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel, every person on every ship knew something was horribly wrong. Captain Han Seojin felt his stomach drop as the main screen lit up with sensor readings from the Kepler 442 system. What they saw made for years of nightmares seem like pleasant dreams. 3 planets glowed with the lights of advanced civilization. Massive structures covered their surfaces, connected by transport networks that pulsed with constant activity. At first glance, it looked like they had discovered a peaceful alien society. But the details told a different story. Scanner technician Ko Guan sat at her station, her hands shaking as she tried to make sense of the readings. Admiral, she called out, her voice barely above a whisper, I'm picking up human life signs. Thousands of them. Admiral Song rushed to KO's station, staring at the screen in disbelief. Green dots representing human biosignatures were scattered across all 3 planets. After 4 years of wondering if Dr. Park's team was still alive, they had their answer. But the locations of those signals made everyone's blood run cold. They're not in cities or settlements, Ko continued, her voice cracking. They're in what looked like containment facilities. Large buildings with restricted access and barrier walls. Through the main view screen, they could see Dr. Park's research ship, the New Dawn. But it wasn't the vessel they remembered. Aliens had transformed it into something else entirely. The ship now orbited the main planet like a twisted piece of art, its hull covered in alien symbols and modifications. It had become a trophy, a monument to the day these creatures had captured. Their first humans, Dr. Choi Min-soo, worked frantically at his analysis station, studying the alien structures below. His face grew paler with each new discovery. The buildings weren't random. They followed a specific pattern, like factories or processing plants. Admiral, he said quietly, these aren't cities. These are processing centers. Industrial scale. Facilities designed for... He stopped, unable to finish the sentence. Say it, Dr. Admiral Song ordered, though her own voice was heavy with dread. Breeding and conditioning programs. They're farming sentient beings like livestock. The bridge fell into stunned silence. Everyone understood what that meant. The aliens hadn't just captured Dr. Park's team, they had turned them into breeding stock. The children who had gone on that research mission 4 years ago weren't just prisoners. They were being raised as the next generation of human slaves. Sensor readings painted a horrific picture. Massive compounds stretched across the planet's surfaces, each one housing thousands of life forms from different species. Humans were just one type of livestock in this alien empire's collection. Transport ships moved constantly between facilities, carrying their cargo like farmers moving animals between fields. "How many humans are down there?" Admiral Song asked, though she wasn't sure she wanted to know the answer. Ko checked her readings 3 times before responding. Conservative estimate? 8,000 human life signs across the 3 planets? 8,000. Dr. Park's team had only been 37 people. That meant the aliens had been capturing humans for years, probably raiding Earth's outer colonies and research stations. Every missing ship, every lost expedition, they now knew where those people had ended up. Admiral reported Communications Officer Park Jimin from across the bridge. "I'm detecting multiple alien vessels in the system. At least 50 ships, some of them massive. They know we're here. Through the view screen, they could see alien craft beginning to move toward their position. Sleek, predatory-looking ships that moved with the confidence of apex predators in their own territory. These creatures had been hunting and capturing other species for so long that Earth's arrival probably seemed like just another delivery, Admiral." Song stared at the tactical display showing thousands of human biosignatures scattered across 3 worlds. After 4 years of travel, they had found their people. But what they had found them as would haunt humanity forever. The rescue mission had become something else entirely, a war to free their species from an unimaginable fate. The universe had just revealed its darkest secret, and humanity was about to respond with everything they had. The alien ships appeared like nightmares emerging from the darkness. They came from behind the system's largest gas giant, where they had been waiting and watching Earth's fleet since the moment of arrival. These weren't the sleek, elegant vessels that humans imagined aliens might build.
Oh.
These ships looked like weapons designed by creatures who understood only violence and domination. Admiral Song stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching as the massive alien fleet moved into formation. 50 ships against Earth's 12. The odds were not in humanity's favor, but Song had faced worse situations during Earth's last global conflict. What made her stomach turn wasn't the enemy's numbers, it was what they represented. The lead alien vessel opened a communication channel. The translation computers worked frantically to convert the alien language into something humans could understand. When the main screen flickered to life, Admiral Song found herself staring at something that would give her nightmares for the rest of her life. The creature calling itself Hivemaster Zelvac looked like evolution's worst mistake. Its body combined the worst features of reptiles and insects, with compound eyes that reflected light like black mirrors. Its skin was covered in scales that shifted color as it moved, and multiple arms ending in clawed hands gestured as it spoke. "Seek the small mammals we acquired 4 rotations ago?" the creature asked, its voice coming through the translators with a tone of casual boredom. "Curious? Most species do not travel such distances for livestock." The word hit Admiral Song like a physical blow. Livestock. These monsters saw humans the same way humans saw cattle or sheep. Dr. Park and her team, the children, all the missing. People? They were just animals to be bought, sold, and bred. Livestock? Admiral Song repeated, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper that made everyone on the bridge step back. "Those are human beings, citizens of Earth." The alien's head tilted in what might have been confusion or amusement. "Ah, yes, the designation you gave yourselves. They proved most adaptable to our requirements. Their offspring show remarkable intelligence when properly conditioned from birth. We paid a fair price to the raiders who brought them to us." Admiral Song's hands clenched into fists. "Raiders? You're telling me other species are capturing humans for you? Of course we do not waste our time with primitive worlds. We purchase from traders who specialize in acquiring new stock. Your species has become quite popular at the markets. You like to purchase them back? They've grown quite fond of their versatility. The bridge erupted in angry voices as Earth's officers heard their people described like merchandise at an auction. Captain Han Seojin had to physically restrain one of his Marines from charging the view screen. The translator couldn't convey the alien's emotions, but its casual indifference to human suffering was clear in every word. Admiral Song raised her hand for silence. When she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of 4 years of anger, grief, and determination. You have 10 minutes to return every human in this system. All of them, alive and unharmed. Refuse and face the consequences. The alien's response was a sound that the translators rendered as laughter, but it sounded like insects chittering in a garbage disposal. Amusing. You were outnumbered 50-1. Your small fleet cannot possibly threaten our position here. Perhaps you misunderstand your situation. Other alien faces appeared on smaller screens around the bridge, more of the Veltar leadership watching this conversation like it was entertainment. They gestured to each other with their multiple arms, probably discussing how to divide up Earth's ships once they captured them. 10 minutes, Admiral Song repeated, her voice now carrying a tone that had terrified enemy generals during Earth's wars. Starting now, the alien leaned forward, its compound eyes reflecting the lights of the bridge. And if we refuse, what can 12 primitive ships do against the might of the Veltar collective? Admiral Song smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. You're about to find out why humans spent thousands of years perfecting the art of warfare against each other. We're very good at it. The communication channel went silent as both fleets faced each other across the void. Predator and prey about to discover which was which. The 10 minutes passed in deadly silence. On the bridge of every Earth ship, crews watched the countdown. Timer ticked towards 0. The Veltar had made their choice clear. They would not release their human prisoners. They activated massive defense platforms around their planets, energy shields that glowed like blue fire around their orbital stations, and weapon systems that had conquered dozens of star systems. The aliens were confident in their superiority. After all, they outnumbered Earth's fleet by more than 4-1. For centuries, they had faced primitive species who barely understood space travel. Simple planets with basic weapons and no real military organization. Earth's 12 ships looked like easy prey compared to their mighty armada. They were about to learn the difference between conquering primitives and fighting humans. Admiral Song stood at the center of the Retribution's bridge, watching the final seconds count down. When the timer hit 0, she gave the order that would echo across the galaxy for generations. All ships, weapons free. Humanitarian rescue protocols are now in effect. What happened next shocked the Veltar to their core. Earth's 12 exploration. Vessels began to transform before their eyes. Hidden weapon bays opened like blooming metal flowers, revealing arrays of missiles, plasma cannons, and railguns that had been concealed during the journey. What the aliens had assumed were research ships revealed themselves as humanity's most advanced warships. Fighter squadrons erupted from launch bays that hadn't been visible moments before. Hundreds of small, fast attack craft spread out like an angry swarm, their pilots eager for revenge against the creatures who had enslaved their people. Marine assault craft prepared for planetary drops, each one carrying soldiers trained for one purpose, bringing humans home. The Veltar fleet scrambled to respond. But they faced a problem they had never encountered before. Every species they had conquered fought like individuals, each ship trying to survive on its own.
Ow.
Earth's fleet moved like a single organism.
Ow.
Every vessel coordinated with perfect precision. Major Junghound stood before her assault troops in the drop bay of the ship Vengeance. These were Earth's finest soldiers, veterans who had volunteered for humanity's most dangerous mission. They had trained for 4 years during the journey, preparing for this exact moment. "Listen up," she called out over the noise of launching. "Fighters, remember your training. Came here for one reason, to bring our people home. Every human down there goes home today. Every child, every scientist, every person who has suffered in those alien prisons for 4 years. Her troops checked their weapons and equipment one final time. These weren't just soldiers anymore. They were humanity's answer to slavery. Each Marine carried enough firepower to level a building, but their real strength came from something the Veltar had never faced: the absolute determination of humans. Fighting to save their own kind, the first exchange of fire lit up the space between the fleets like a deadly light show. The Veltar expected their superior numbers to quickly overwhelm Earth's forces. Instead, they discovered that humans had spent thousands of years perfecting warfare against enemies with equal or better technology. Earth's military doctrine was designed to fight outnumbered and win, while the Veltar ships fired in random patterns. Hoping to hit something, Earth's vessels coordinated their attacks with mathematical precision. They had studied every second of Dr. Park's transmission, analyzed every detail of alien technology they could observe, and planned their attack down to the smallest detail. The aliens watched in growing horror as their mighty fleet began to take devastating losses. Earth's weapons cut through their shields like paper, and their fighters moved with a speed and coordination that seemed impossible. These weren't primitive mammals stumbling around space. These were apex predators who had turned warfare into an art form. Within minutes, the Veltar realized they had made a terrible mistake. It had awakened something that should have been left sleeping. The battle that followed would be remembered as the day humanity announced itself to the galaxy. For 6 brutal hours, space around the Kepler 442 system burned with the fire of human fury. Earth's coordinated assault doctrine, refined through centuries of fighting their own species, shattered the Veltar defenses like a hammer through glass. The aliens had expected a quick victory against primitive mammals. Instead, they faced something. They had never encountered a species that had turned warfare into an exact science. While Veltar ships fired wildly in all directions, Earth's vessels moved like dancers in a deadly ballet. Each attack perfectly timed and coordinated. Orbital bombardment platforms that had protected Veltar worlds for centuries crumbled under precise missile strikes. Earth's weapons found weak points that the aliens didn't even know existed. Every shot was calculated. Every explosion served a purpose. This wasn't random violence. This was surgical warfare designed to minimize collateral damage while maximizing enemy casualties. As the space battle raged overhead, Marine dropships descended toward the prison facilities like falling stars. Captain Park Jinwoo gripped his rifle tighter as his transport ship broke through the atmosphere of the second planet. Through the small window, he could see the massive processing centers that had haunted humanity's nightmares for 4 years. 2 minutes to landing, called the pilot over the intercom. Charlie Company, prepare for combat drop.
Axe.
Park's Marines checked their weapons one final time. They had trained for this moment during the entire 4-year journey, practicing urban combat and hostage rescue until they could do it blindfolded. But nothing could have prepared them for what they found when the doors opened. The main processing center stretched 4 kilometers in every direction. Massive concrete buildings connected by steel walkways, surrounded by energy barriers and guard towers. It looked like a factory designed by nightmares, built to process living beings like raw materials. Move, move, move. Park shouted as his troops poured out of the landing craft. Veltar guards rushed toward them, firing energy weapons that turned sections of the concrete to molten slag. But Earth's Marines had trained against superior firepower for generations. They moved like ghosts through the complex, using cover and coordinated fire to cut down the alien defenders. The first building they entered made hardened soldiers stop in their tracks and vomit. Vast chambers stretched into the darkness, filled with humans working in chains. Men, women, and children who had been reduced to numbers in alien databases. Families had been torn apart, parents separated from their children, people broken down, into categories based on their usefulness to their captors. "Dear God," whispered Sergeant Lee Neo, staring at rows of human prisoners who looked up at them with hope and terror in their eyes. Some of the captives had been here so long they cowered when they saw the Marines, afraid that these new arrivals meant more suffering. "Sweep every building," Captain Park ordered, his voice thick with rage. Every human comes with us. No one gets left behind. Meanwhile, high above the planet, fighter squadron leader Kim Tae-yoon led his pilots in devastating strikes against Veltar military positions. His fighter craft moved like lightning through the alien formations, weapons blazing as they cleared the sky of enemy resistance. "This is Falcon Leader," he announced over the radio, as another alien gunship exploded under his fire. "The sky belongs to Earth now." The Veltar had superior numbers, but numbers meant nothing against Earth's tactical superiority. They had spent millennia conquering primitive species who fought with courage but no coordination. Humans fought with something far more dangerous, the coordinated fury of a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting. It's the art of killing each other. When humanity turned that expertise against an external threat, the result was inevitable. The Veltar Empire was about to learn why humans were the apex predators of their home world, when the last Veltar gunship fell from the sky in flames. An eerie silence settled over the three worlds. Smoke rose from destroyed alien facilities, while Earth's Marines moved through the prison complexes, freeing humans who had been captive for 4 long years. Battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. Admiral Song stood in the main processing center where Captain Park's Marines had found the largest group of prisoners. Medical teams worked frantically to treat people who bore the physical and emotional scars of years in captivity. Some of the rescued humans could barely speak, traumatized by what they had endured. Others wept openly as they saw Earth's soldiers, unable to believe that rescue had finally come. Through the crowd of liberated prisoners, Admiral Song spotted a familiar face. Dr. Park Jisoo looked nothing like the confident scientist who had left Earth 4 years ago. Her hair had turned gray, deep lines marked her face, and old scars covered her arms. But her eyes still held the intelligence and determination that had made her one of Earth's leading researchers. When Dr. Park saw Admiral Song approaching, she broke into tears and stumbled forward into an embrace that spoke of 4 years of hope and desperation. "We never stopped believing someone would come," Dr. Park whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. "Every day for 4 years we told each other that Earth hadn't forgotten us. Even when they tried to break our spirits, we held on to that hope." Admiral Song held the older woman tightly, feeling the weight of 4 years of suffering in that simple embrace. "You were right to believe. Earth never abandons its own." Dr. Park stepped back, wiping tears from her eyes, and her expression became serious. "Admiral, we didn't waste these 4 years. We documented everything, every facility, every trade route, every slave market. The Veltar Empire is bigger than you can imagine." She led Admiral Song to a hidden compartment in the wall where the prisoners had concealed their secret work. Inside were data storage devices, hand-drawn maps, and detailed notes written on scraps of material. The rescued humans had turned their captivity into an intelligence-gathering operation, preparing for the day when Earth would finally come for them. Research specialist Nam Yuna, who had been Dr. Park's assistant on the original mission, approached with a data pad that contained their most important discovery. Admiral de Velter have facilities on 47 worlds across this sector. They're holding millions of sentient beings in bondage, not just humans, but dozens of different species. Admiral Song studied the intelligence reports with growing amazement and horror. The rescued humans had created detailed maps of the entire Veltar slave network. They had memorized guard rotations, transportation schedules, and the locations of major prison complexes. Even in captivity, they had maintained their humanity and their determination to fight back. "How did you manage to gather all this information?" "Without the Veltar noticing?" Admiral Song asked. Dr. Park smiled grimly. "They underestimated us. They saw humans as simple animals, too stupid to understand what was happening around us. They never imagined we were watching, learning, and planning for this day." The scope of what the rescued humans had discovered was staggering. Evelta operated like a galactic corporation, with slave markets on dozens of worlds and trade routes that stretched across light years. They bought and sold intelligent beings like livestock, breaking up families and destroying entire civilizations for profit. But the intelligence reports also revealed something else. opportunity. The Veltar had grown lazy and overconfident after centuries of easy conquests. Their defenses were designed to stop primitive species, not a coordinated military force like Earth's fleet. Every facility, every stronghold, every major installation was now mapped and analyzed. As medical teams continued treating the liberated prisoners, Admiral Song realized that the rescue mission had become something much larger. These brave humans had handed Earth the keys to destroying an entire slave empire, and the question now was whether humanity had the will to use them. Looking at the faces of the rescued prisoners, scarred but unbroken, traumatized but still fighting, Admiral Song knew the answer. Earth had come to save 37 people and found thousands. They would stay to free millions more. Admiral Song stood on the bridge of the Retribution, looking out at the three worlds that had been transformed forever. Behind Earth's fleet, the planet still smoldered from the fires of liberation, destroyed Veltar facilities, sent columns of smoke into alien skies. While freed prisoners helped Earth's Marines identify more hidden prison complexes, the rescue mission that had started with 37 missing scientists had become something much larger. In the medical bays of every Earth ship, rescued humans from dozens of species received treatment for years of captivity. The Veltar hadn't. Just enslaved humanity, they had been capturing intelligent beings across this entire sector of space. Children from worlds Earth had never heard of sat beside human families, all of them free for the first time in years. Admiral Song had spent the last 3 days studying the intelligence reports that Dr. Park's team had gathered during their captivity. 46 more star systems, hundreds of prison facilities, millions of sentient beings waiting for someone to answer their cries for help. The scope of the Veltar slave empire was staggering, but so was the opportunity to destroy it completely. She opened a communication channel that would broadcast to every ship in Earth fleet and transmit across subspace to reach every corner of the galaxy. The words would be heard by allies and enemies alike, carrying humanity's message to civilizations they hadn't even discovered yet. "This is Admiral Song Min-jae of the United Earth Defense Force," she began, her voice steady and strong. "Today, humanity learned that we are not alone in the universe. We also learned that slavery exists among the stars." Throughout the fleet, sailors and Marines stopped their work to listen. The medical bays rescued prisoners looked up from, their treatments, hope flickering in eyes that had seen too much suffering. Even the freed aliens, who couldn't understand human language, seemed to sense the importance of this moment. "We came to this system following a distress call from our own people," Admiral Song continued. "Dr. Park Jisoo and her research team sent us coordinates before they were captured 4 years ago. We traveled across impossible distances because humanity has one simple rule: we never abandon our own." The message transmitted across subspace at faster than light speed, carrying Earth's words to every listening station in the galaxy. Civilizations that had been hiding from the Veltar for centuries would hear humanity's declaration. That had operated for generations would learn that new players had entered the game. But what we found here changed everything. The Admiral's voice grew stronger. "We discovered that slavery isn't just a crime against humanity, it's a crime against all intelligent life. Earth's new policy is simple. Wherever tyranny raises its head, wherever the innocent cry for help, they will find humanity's answer. We came for our people, but we're staying for yours." Captain Han Seojin watched the tactical display as Earth's fleet prepared to move toward their next target. The intelligence reports showed Veltar facilities scattered across dozens of star systems, each one holding thousands of prisoners from species Earth was only now learning existed. "Setting course for the Vega system, Admiral," he reported. Long-range sensors showed 3 major prison complexes and a slave market operating in orbit around the 4th planet. Admiral Song nodded, but her attention was focused on something larger than just the next battle. Earth's fleet was about to embark on the longest military campaign in human history. They would travel from star to star, freeing slaves and destroying the infrastructure that had made the Veltar Empire possible. "The galaxy is about to learn," she said quietly, "that humanity's greatest export isn't technology or culture. The promise and no one suffers alone. 3 months later, Beltar High Command received reports that would shatter their confidence forever. Human fleets were appearing across their territory, striking at facilities that had operated unopposed for centuries. Each attack was preceded by the same message, broadcast on all frequencies, by order of Earth Command: free them all. If slavery in this sector of space was ending, and humanity was writing its obituary one liberated world at a time.